Hey, how's it going? This is Kenneth 14621, and this is a little boxing talk video. Okay, uh, I just want to mention something here. Now, boxing has had ups and downs. Okay, but people say that boxing was at its peak in the 70s, and that boxing is not as big as it used to be, and that is the truth. Boxing does not draw the type of money that it used to. I mean, in the 70s was its peak because then UFC came along and there started being corruption in boxing, disputes over, uh, decisions and stuff like that. But that's just what I heard, but it is kind of the truth because if you think about it, one of those boxers from the 70s came back to boxing in the 90s when he was in his late 40s, okay? Late 40s. And then won the championship at the ripe old age of 48 against the youngest, toughest competitors of the early 90s. And he was a boxer from the 70s. Okay? And he was quoted as saying, "People say that boxers from my era were the toughest. Well, now you know why." Or he just said tough. We're tough. Now you know why. Because when your sport is the top sport in the world, you're drawing all the best talent. You know what I'm saying? But all of a sudden, when another sport eclipses your sport and becomes the biggest, they start drawing the top talent in the world. You know what I'm saying? And you start drawing, lesser talent. You know what I'm saying? Now, boxing has had its ups and downs since then. I mean, you had Mike Tyson, right? He was good. You had Larry Holmes. He was good. Those were the 80s guys. Then in the 90s, you still kind of had Mike Tyson, but you really had Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis towards the end of the 90s. I believe it was the end of the 90s. 2000s, you had, I don't know. I mean, I can't remember the heavyweights in the 2000s, but I remember, they had guys like, I don't know. They had ups and downs is what I'm saying. But it's the same thing when you think about the space program and NASA. 1969, we were putting a much higher percentage of our income, of the national income, into NASA because NASA was a bigger deal back then. I mean, NASA just started a few years before, and in just a few years, we went to the moon. You know what I'm saying? And we've never been to the moon since. There has never been a manned flight on another celestial body. There's never been a manned flight where men landed on another planet or another rock ever since then, because we don't give NASA that much money anymore. It's not the most important. And that's just the way it is. You can say that the boxers are better now because they have better supplements and they're, so they have better muscles and stuff like that. But that's not how you judge it. You judge on whether boxing was the biggest sport, if it's the biggest sport now as it was back then. Because, it was just bigger back then, So, there's my little rant right there. Think about that, And people always said that all throughout the 80s and up to the 90s. They all said, boxing is just not as big as it used to be. And then all of a sudden this guy comes along who was a boxer in the 70s, George Foreman. He comes back to boxing in his late 40s and whips everybody in the division, in the heavyweight division. These young guys that are in the prime of their life are getting beat by a 48-year-old. And then he wins the championship. I mean, so, I don't know. That'll probably never happen again. I'm just telling you. I mean, it might, if boxing continues to decline, which I don't know if it's declining out. Now it's kind of having a peak, a rise, I think, because you have Tyson Fury, you had Anthony Joshua, and Deontay Wilder, so, and you had a great match with Wilder and Fury, yeah, but, so anyway, so I just want to say that, I mean, people will probably listen to this and roll their eyes and think I'm crazy, but if you didn't live through it, how can you have an opinion on it? That's all I'm saying. But, so anyways, though, that's my video. Thank you very much.